Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining. We are excited to share this information for you. We're going to give it a few minutes to give everybody an option, so hang tight.
Get some water, get something to write with. We encourage you to take notes. You may find some things that really could potentially help you immediately, which is the use to deliver our information. So get something that is useful for you to write and take notes on, something that you can go back and review for later. Like I'm sitting in multiple notebooks all in this little area where I have multiple pages of lots of notes from coaches and all kinds of stuff. Find something that works for you.
Get your water ready. We always keep these, and we might do regular increments where we say, hey, that's what we do. So, and we encourage you to close your Facebook. We'll talk about that stuff in a minute. But man, we are very excited. I'd love to share this information. I'd love to share our passion and our study. And we've done this for
something else maybe kind of interesting, at least it was for me. For a long time, I would write notes in my phone because I always have my phone with me, so I can always review it when I have time or I have some downtime and I'd like to refresh on some information. I have a ton of information in the notes. Something very interesting, but something very interesting that I've heard from multiple of my coaches and multiple, I say high-end or very wealthy people who are amazing. Some body language for you, on why you actually get more benefit out of writing notes with your hand. So there's a massive difference. There's something, if my memory serves me correctly, which I believe it will, there's about 8 neural pathways that are created when we use our thumbs to create or use buttons that are on our phone or whatever device we may be using, iPad, iTouch, whatever, digitally speaking. And then when we write out, you have up to 15,000 different neural pathways that are created because you're actually going through and using and articulating your brain, your mind, and your fingers all on the same page. And body language wise, all of our fingers represent different things. Like our index finger on our right hand is giving direction, to do, give, or help. So there's a lot of information that's being interchanged back and forth when we're writing notes and doing things like that. So try buff and shrink it down even more and then put that in my phone so that way I can go review it. And I like to grab my phone and speak into it. That way it's that much faster. So you may like using both of those tools. Water break. Water break.
Retention. And we're excited for memory retention. And we're excited right now. So Brian, why don't you pull up some slides?
Man. Hold on, Chris.
There you go.
Is it up?
Yep, you're good to go.
Yes. All right. Now that we got the technological fun stuff, my first question to you is: have you heard of the term iatrogenesis? The term I have not. Have no fear. Don't feel. Have no fear. Don't feel bad, because as Chris and I both have been in the wellness industry for a significant amount of time, and up until 2 years ago, I had never even heard or seen that. You're probably wondering what in the world it is, and we'll actually get to that in a couple slides here. We're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about how you create your best life ever without breaking a sweat, which sounds completely illogical. The thing that we focus most on is how to work right versus working hard, and we're actually going to relay and share some of our most prized information with you tonight. So we invite you to be fully present as we share this wisdom with you. We've already went over, turn your phones off, close your Facebook, go where it's quiet, get some water. Water will help your thinker work significantly better. It's like having oil in your eye. And encourage you to take notes. Today is really the only day that we have, and we invite you to do something now that you will thank yourself for tomorrow. And here's the reason why this is a very touching statement to me, is because a year ago I was hanging out with my brother when I was down in Houston, and I haven't been to Houston in probably 4 or 5 years, so I hadn't seen him in a while. Well, long story short, we went and had breakfast before I came for a couple hours, and then I got back home and I get a phone call the next morning saying that he had died. So really kind of in the face. And what that really helped me to do was to be present, thankful, and grateful for right now, the time that I have, because you never know what's going to happen. come around again. So we want you to be fully present and do things now that you will thank yourself for tomorrow. Chris?
Man, keep going, Brian. You're on a roll. And once again, when we talk about the emotional status, you're living in stress or depression, you're living in the past. If you're living in fear and you're living in the future, stop living in different time frames and live for now. Live in the present frames and live for thankful for what's current.
Oh, you.
Awesome. So we just like to put this numbers up because we want people to understand. We just like to put this numbers up because we want people where we are from a health perspective. These are the most recent numbers from the CDC. The most recent numbers from the understanding. This is where they classify deaths. Now, this isn't the whole story, but they classify, and that's how they. But that's also, this is once again, you're getting the numbers from the Center of Disease Control. So leading right behind it is cancer. There's some different statistics that we can talk about there about what's preventable from there, but that's generally people, they a lot of times respiratory disease in the hospitals, a lot of times respiratory disease take over. Stroke is also very common, also very similar to heart disease as to where it affects your body. Alzheimer's, neurologically, that is definitely on the rise. And diabetes, have one, you also very likely to have the other. They talk about 1 in 3 Americans right now walking around pre-diabetic. So they believe diabetes can be one of the next big, huge diseases. Diabetes can be one. And when we're talking about diabetes, we are talking about type 2 diabetes, which is diet caused, not sort of genetic or diet, not sort of type 1 genetic or diet failure like type 1 and pneumonia. Well, lesser known, but I believe, and Brian believes, that they are actually far more significant when we're talking in America. And when we're talking about our health crisis and talking about how many people are sick all the time and how many people are on medications all the time. And so the current state, we are actually something like ranked 47th in the world, which is amazing because we spend sometimes 2 to 3x more than most of these other countries, and more of these healthcare. We spend more than any other country, even though we're about 5% of the population. We eat about 50% of the population. We eat about 50% of the world's pharmaceuticals. So when we look at some of these numbers, just from 2013, there was 2.2 million ADRs, or adverse drug reactions, which can be all sorts of things. They, from hives, breakouts, all sorts of other things. And what you're finding is a lot of times you're getting medications to help you with side effects of other medications, which require you to take other medications because these drugs have so many different side effects. 20 million prescribed antibiotics for viral infections. This is what's leading to these super bugs that we have right now, these antibiotic resistant bacteria infections, because you're getting antibiotics when we don't even require them. 7.0 surgical procedures. So think about that. Doctors make money from doing surgeries, and sometimes necessary, but the doctors are doing them because it's a revenue stream or because it might be a possibility. 7.5 unnecessary surgical procedures. And here's the big one. This is one of the biggest scary ones to me and Brian, which is 783,000 deaths due to modern medicine. Now, if you look down below hard, that has to do with adverse drug reactions. That has to do with medical reactions. We talk about iatrogenesis when you saw that before. From being in the hospital, people contracting staph or MRSA and dying from it. Infection, surgical errors. You would not believe how many people have died from errors removed, had all sorts of issues in surgery because we have so many people in the system at any given time that just mistakes are made constantly. Unnecessary procedures and outpatient deaths. So that is actually the leading cause of death in America because we have so many people in the system all the time. And it's not these is a classification of deaths. There's some other stats you might not know about, which was, or just real quick, Brian, there's 350,000 deaths are linked to specifically because you're overweight or obese. And then 220 to 450,000 deaths are what they're preventable medical errors, which means you were in the care of a doctor or a hospital and they made a mistake from it, and you died from it. So it wasn't mean that they were trying to do your life and they did everything correct. Okay, then you go as a classification as you died from cancer or heart disease or whatever, died from it, right? And one of the reasons our system is so broken, or one of the reasons our system is so expensive, is because they make so many medical errors that they have to carry all types of insurance for malpractice suits and all these other things, which also make the cost of our healthcare system go up so dramatically. But after all that bad news, right? After all the really good news, which is 90% of all those deaths and symptoms are preventable with better lifestyle choices, right? That means breathing quality air, drinking quality water, eating the quality of your food and exercise. And one of the most important tools that we focus on is consciousness, right? Being aware of the way that you think about things, because it controls the way you feel and your actions. And that is a big key differentiator between success and failure. And then we focus on these 4 pillars because, it's the order of things that you die without. You die in a few minutes without air. You die in a few weeks without food. So the quality of these 3 items are the most important as to what you do and take into your body as to whether you're going to be healthy or not. And they're so overlooked. There's not medications generally that you will die without. Because your air, water, or food, and your consciousness are broken. Air, water, or food, and your consciousness are broken, which is why you're taking medication. Symptoms, which is why you're taking medication.
Chris and I. So here's a little bit about Chris and I and kind of why we do what we do, and just a little bit of background. So that picture up at the top there is actually multiple, I guess you'd say, training classes at where we get to go Life Austin Church, where we get to go in there and teach for a couple months at a time to a group, and I always enjoy doing that. The picture underneath that is me, where we actually get invited a couple times a year to go and talk, and share with the class on a lot of stuff that we do with nutrition, because it goes hand in hand with skin stuff. The picture on the left is one of my friends and clients, Mr. Jonathan Sprinkles. He's known as America's Connection. He was just on the Steve Harvey's Connection Coach. He was just on the Steve Harvey show. He was on a Dr. Phil show a little while back. An amazing speaker. If you get to check him out, he is amazing. Definitely get your hands on. He is amazing. Definitely get your hands for you and your business for sure. But what we do with him is I help him with all of his nutrition stuff while he travels. I help keep him well staff so they can keep him on point, so they know what foods and what things to give him while he's up, while they're talking on stage, so he can keep his energy levels up and his concentration levels as high as possible. And we work with multiple speakers in that category as discussed. Chris and I are huge personal development guys, and our ability to serve with the wisdom that God puts in front of us is our most valuable asset, between that and our health being number one. But we put ourselves in very different situations at times to help ourselves grow. And that picture on the very bottom right there is actually out in the middle of Cancun, Mexico, an hour and a half outside of town, where I invested my New Year's, started from the 26th of December up until January the 10th or 8th. I was getting myself put in odd situations and pushing myself to the limits and breaking through emotional patterns and things that I had. And the crazy thing is that there's a lot of stuff that we are functioning on specifically that we are completely unaware of. For example, I was functioning off of some stuff thinking that my dad didn't love me. And in that session, when I came back to a memory when I was 3, I'd been telling myself a story unknowing it showed up in relationships with male figures in life. I was always seeking for validation from friends. I was seeking validation from my coaches, and I could never figure that out. So I just invite you to consider the possibility that there are things that are functioning on your subconscious mind, or your elephant, if you've ever heard us talk about that, you're probably completely unaware of. That's why they're subconscious. Go ahead, Chris. Chris.
Just a comment here too, right? We love to speak often, and if you see here the top right thing, that we're big promoters of the quality of our food. So this is at the March Against Monsanto. I've spoken the last 2 years. I've actually just been invited to speak again. There's thousands of people in every major city across America march for the quality of their food. Labeling genetically modified organisms because they believe that there's adverse health reactions and not quality safety tasting done on these foods. And so thousands of people show up every year. We get to speak at events like this and share our passion and our knowledge with people, because we're promoters of health, which means we need to be promoters of mind, body, and spirit. And a lot of that has to do with what your body.
For sure. Now understand that we are by no means perfect, and that means that we have done lots of things wrong. The important part to remember is that you're going to do things wrong. The key is if you give yourself an opportunity to forgive yourself and pick yourself up and dust yourself off and keep moving forward. That will be indicative of how your mindset is. So here's that we have done in the past that weren't exactly that. I wouldn't say they were wrong by any means, but they didn't help us to serve the amount of people that we do. And here's some things that we did. If you look at the picture on the bottom left, that's in my hand, but that's actually an area, a gym that we used to be part owners in. We would come in there and teach classes, and I really missed the workouts for sure, but we couldn't really reach the amount of people that we like to do. So this is kind of why we got into more doing a digital format, because we can share with you specifically without having to be pinned down to one place and one time. So that's why we kind of morphed
people on the physical aspect, and yet we had so many people that weren't able to meet their goals, even though we knew how to help them both physically and with nutrition. The not understanding mindset, or at least not to the degree that we understand mindset now, and really coaching somebody on the emotional level helps us help people on a whole nother aspect that we've never been able to help people before, or we weren't able to help them previously. And we can help so many more people now in this format than we can in the physical format.
Awesome. So here's the cool part is that we discovered this the hard way, and you actually get the easy way. So after 40 years of combined experience and over 15,000 case studies, we have found the perfect formula for your health and vitality. The easy way does not require you to break a sweat.
Imagine now, right? We just want you to just visualize in your head, right? Because working with so many clients, between Brian and I work with like 15,000 plus clients, we have recognized some symptoms that once we start working with people, this becomes the benefit of what they are now able to do, right? So now imagine yourself with more energy than you've had in years, able to complete all the tasks that you've set for not struggling for day to day just to make do, or constant on caffeine addictions to just keep yourself stimulated and going throughout the day, because that's an indicator that there's something going on that's wrong, right? You're wearing clothes you wore at your best, and when we meet at your best, what was your most ideal weight? Was it high school? Was it college? Was it just a few years ago? What was it? What were those clothes? Because imagine being back in that size when you were in the best shape of your life, you were at your healthiest weight. Imagine, or shopping all new again, but at that best size and shape. I tell you, there's nothing better than that feeling of being overweight, not fitting into shirts or pants, and being able to wear them again. That feeling is amazing. You're enjoying life pain-free, and especially, we both work with both a lot of men and women, but I've noticed a lot with, you notice like fibromyalgia and these types sort of chronic autoimmune diseases where it's just a constant pain in somebody's body. And to help people get free of that and to live pain-free, you have no idea freedom is associated to your personal health until you don't have it, right? There is no other greater freedom than being free from pain when you've been experiencing pain for 5, 6, 7, 10 plus years, because chronic pain is so debilitating. And when you're free of that, it's it's such a beautiful pain until you start feeling better and you're free of it again. And that's something we can help you experience. Your relationships are more connected than ever before. And we don't just mean like your husband or your wife, but your kids or your work relationships, your friends, helping you identify how to connect and what are the struggles and what's going on behind the scenes that's causing the symptoms, helps you recognize that with your family and your relationships, and to be more connected and loving than ever before. And you no longer require wasting money on medications. And we have a test coming up where it's being free from 5, 6, 7 or more medications that you have to take on a daily basis, where foods can reverse those symptoms and you can become free of those medications. Man, that is also a beautiful thing. So we're going to love this slide. Our disclaimer is, and maybe you haven't noticed, but Brian and I, we're not doctors, right? We encourage you to bounce any information we give you with your health decisions, because you know what? That is the legal poppycock. That's what you should do. And now let me tell you, you're more likely to find your answer from Google than you are your doctor, because when we give you nutritional information, doctors, less than 6% of graduating physicians have even biology, they have chemistry, but there's a huge difference between the phytonutrients and minerals and vitamins and enzymes in your food help you with your symptoms than there is in the chemistry of it, right? They're there to practice medicine. But we encourage you to bounce that information off of them. 3 secrets, Brian.
So secret number 1, we're going to talk about lifestyle. There's a lot of people that we work with specifically, and it's probably the reason why, that are high-level entrepreneurs, maybe moms and dads, people who are in their life, and they're strong in one area but really lack in all the other ones. And what we're here to share with you is that it's possible to have all of the right instruction and wisdom and the right support systems completely available. So what we'll do is, secret number 1 is, it's possible to have an optimal lifestyle, have it's balancing out your diet, your exercise, relationships on the way to reaching your goals. It's important to enjoy the process, not just the end result. Okay. Secret number 2, optimal health. It's possible that you can reverse symptoms and medication use with grocery store foods. Optimal mindset. It's very possible to work right versus work hard. So for me specifically, I've been in weightlifting. I started doing this stuff when I was 7, and people always ask me, how do you keep your size? And I was like, honestly, I just understand how to work muscles versus lifting weights. And I understand specifically about my nutrition. I only do any type of weight related 3 days a week for 20 minutes a piece. So there's ways that are possible for you to understand specifically how to do a specific situation. That way you're not wasting your time and doing more work than what's necessary. Secret number 1, lifestyle. Balance your diet, exercise, and your relationships on the way to reaching your goals. One of the keys to this is understanding your macros. Your macros are proteins, carbs, and fats. We're also going to discuss with you common diet myths. There's a lot of information out there that just isn't so. And there's a lot of people out there that are operating under these false beliefs that are inhibiting them from being successful based off this information. This could potentially be you, so we may have a couple things to support you to really help you clear up some gray area. And it's also important to understand how much exercise is right for you. A lot of people, when they get started into an exercise program and they start making adjustments in their life, they're like, man, I just don't have to do all that. It seems really difficult. And it is easy to find time if you understand how much is required and what you actually have to do. That way you just take step by step versus trying to eat an elephant with one bite. So, and it's possible, are your relationships, are they helping you or are they hurting you? There's a very true saying that you will be the sum. You can take the sum of your 5 friends and you can add up what they make and you're going to be very close to that. You can find out how they're functioning in their spiritual life. You will be very close to that. It is identical. Just do those on a piece of paper and give yourself some feedback. Size or condemn yourself to say, I wonder what if I have this or if I have this, and this kind of gives you some good feedback. And when I did it, I was like, wow, that's completely correct. You can love them while you find some other ones who want you to be better and do better in your life. Common myths. Number 1, get a sip first intermittent water break.
Chug, chug,
Myth
chug.
number 1 is eating past 6 p.m. makes you fat. And this is important. If you think about our body as a car, when you're, for example, you're living in Austin, hypothetically, and you're driving to Dallas. Well, when your gas light comes on, you don't keep driving. You pull over and you get some gas, or you're going to get stuck on the side of the road. Well, our bodies are very similar in the sense that they're also extremely intelligent. They're going to keep pushing through things, but it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you muscle, immune system. It's going to cause you a lot of different things. So it's important when you understand what your body actually requires. Like, okay, I know for a fact I require 40 grams of protein for 6 meals a day. I require 30 grams of carbohydrates, 6 meals a day, and I require 30 grams of fat. That will change periodically. But if you don't know where you're at, then you're wasting your time already. And you could just make this simple adjustment, understand what your body requires, and you will notice changes immediately. So if you've been banging your head up against the wall and not understanding why this stuff works and how do I get it set up, trust me, I completely understand. I've been 263 times. I understand where you're at, and it's possible to change this. Myth number 2, lifting weights will make you bulky. It's going to make you bulky is you not understanding how to eat. And I think this is a good saying too, that abs are made in the kitchen. Your food is very important. Never outwork a bad diet. And if you're lifting heavier weights and you're not eating the right kind of foods, you're not going to get bulky. If you're lifting heavier weights and you're eating enough food, a surplus, then you're going to get bulky. But it's a very fine line and very easy to fix. Myth number 3, low fat and no fat diets are good for you. That's actually one of the worst pieces of advice that's probably been on the planet. Simply because fats are very crucial for our development, for our reproductive system, for our hair, skin, and nails, for our hormones. And what happened is the whole model when that came out is that that's what they increased sugars and things to start making foods better. And that situations, a lot of obesity came around with that adjustment, just a lot of not good information. Number 4, medication is the only way to fight disease. You know, it's very interesting. I'm glad I read that out loud because let me get a sip. If years ago, here's where I was at. I would told you if you were sick that you need to go see a real doctor, which is one that's at an MD or a doctor at the hospital. Only 4 years ago, my perception, my position on where I stand and what I stand for was completely a 180. I have gone through a lot of stuff specifically and seen what has happened, got more education, wisdom, background, experience, all this, and have completely gone the other way. I'm not saying that they are bad by any means. I'm saying that a lot of stuff that you may be experiencing is completely under your power with the right information. Convenience. So here's an example of my client, Carol Martin. She's currently 73. And for 40 years, she had debilitating asthma. She moved to Arizona to try out different climates, and she had multiple professionals from around the world come and try and work with her to get her fixed. Well, she almost died 2 times by cardiac arrest because she wasn't able to breathe. Her breathing went out. She couldn't catch it and ran into an issue. Had to have CPR done. Well, craziest information is that what happened when she actually came to see me for the first time, which is when I was training clients, the first day we literally would do 30 seconds of working out and take a minute of breathing. 30 seconds of working out, taking a minute of breathing. Inhaler, the whole 9 yards. Needless to say, it was a very long workout with not a lot of actual work being done. Now, fast forward day, not 2, not 3. We made some adjustments, specifically with 2 food items from the grocery store. She came back the next day. She started working out. She kept working out. She kept working out. And she kept. And then she kept working out. So I asked, I said, Carol, I said, what did you do? And what's so different as to today versus yesterday? And why are you so much more effective at breathing? Well, I did what you told me to do. I implemented the 2 foods you told me to do, and this is what I have, and this is what my experience is. I was like, holy cow. I was like, me? Well, you know, it's crazy because Chris and I see this stuff all the time now. Like, this is expected. When we run into someone, we expect this to happen. Situation upon hundreds of other is what completely changed my perception around the beauty and the wisdom that God has placed in his food that has absolutely toxicity. This is one of the stories, and you're hearing from a couple of more of our clients during this training, to what's available to you when you understand what to implement in your life.
You know, it's funny, Brian, while you were reading the myths, I thought of another one, which was I can eat whatever I want as long as I work out hard enough, right? And that's such a myth, you know, that's such a myth, which is like, you know, any trainer, physical trainer knows that you are the way you look is based off the way you eat. And any good healthcare professional should also know that the way you feel is also based off the way you eat. So anyway, I thought that was a great myth that we could add. Health, which is, do you know it's possible to have symptoms and incurable disease reversed with grocery store foods? And so maybe you're new to hearing us speak, but one of the things that really drove me world branch with his father, prostate cancer, and me was my mother being diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And my mom had been a dancer her whole life, and she was, you know, she started suffering symptoms before we knew it was fibromyalgia for many years. It was like pain in her hands, and then sometimes pain in her feet. For a few years, it was pain in her whole arm or pain in her legs. And eventually, after 5, 6, 7 years of symptoms, it was pain in her whole body. And that's when she got diagnosed. And she, you know, she was retired at the time, but if she had a hard day, like working in the garden or something, or working around the house, she could be bedridden in excruciating pain for 3 or 4 days. And the only thing the doctors can do, because it is an incurable disease by Western standards, is give you an immune suppressant and also give you painkillers. And so the painkillers numb you out. You know, the painkillers also have all sorts of side effects, but it really helped. My mom was still in excruciating pain, and it was like fire throughout her whole body. Well, when Brian and I this mind you was about 7 or so years ago, Brian and I were really studying, you know, what we had already known about fitness nutrition and manipulating body fat, protein, carbs, and fats. And that's what we love to share with people because it's really important. But now we understand the phytonutrients and the micronutrients in foods that really help you reverse disease. And so we changed my mother's diet. We changed the water that she drank, and we really it was a lifestyle change for her, but it was proved to be so beneficial because after 5 months of changing her food and her water, symptoms were abated and gone. And she was able to get off all of her medications. You know, she went to her doctor and she told her what she did. And her doctor was like, yeah, that's great. I'm glad you reversed. It's not something that anybody really ever gets to really believe you, because I'm at the forefront of my field and I am here to study, and I study everything. And so I just think it wasn't food. It was, you know, but I'm glad you're better. And so anyway, my mom no longer sees that doctor because obviously he was no benefit, right? People since then, with all these diseases that you see in front of you, from heart disease and fibromyalgia and cancer and diabetes, ADD, insomnia, high blood pressure, so many more, we have helped so many people now because we've learned that there's so much power in food. And they have such a huge impact on your food, way more than Western medicine necessarily is taking account for. Because if they monitor your food, there's no money in that. Prescribing you a medication is how they make money. And so that's what we're here to teach you. And these things are not just, you know, we're not teaching you don't get me wrong, Brian and I have both studied like Ayurvedic and some of these Eastern cultures science. And what's funny is science is now starting to prove some of these things that have been known for thousands of years, even if we didn't know. And which is what we love to teach about. And another thing that are sort of, I don't want to necessarily call it Western medicine standards, but it's sort of ingrained in us through television and through our medical community, and that's that we are slaves to genes. People go, oh yeah, you know, I have a genetically bad metabolism, so I'm probably going to have cancer. And don't get me wrong, there are hereditary things that play into our genetic system, but there's so much that is an actual lie. 75 to 85% of your genetic code is based off expression. So you could have any one particular gene or set of genes mean that you're going to have, or it is articulated that you are a slave to some sort of disease or genetic, because the expression is what matters. And the first time I ever heard about this was actually when I was reading about when they took some diabetics and they had all these, they had all these heart disease markers up. They had these cancer, their cancer prevention markers, cancer causing markers were way high. And so they were like, oh, wow, you guys are, because, and even though you're currently diabetic, you have all these other diseases that are possibly down the road for you. These people, and for 30 days, they put them on an all vegan diet. And not only were they able to reverse 80% of their diabetes, right? But they genes, and their genetic code had totally changed. 40, 50, hundreds of genetic markers were changed in the opposite direction. So genes were on, cancer causing genes were off.
Hey, your volume keeps going out.
Yeah, I lost connection for a second, but you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So 75% of your genetic code is expressive or receptive. It's through your environment. And since then, I've read a book that I would highly encourage. Were two different books. One is called The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton, and another one is The Placebo Effect. And what they talk about is even just thinking can have these early indicator genes, which changes absolutely, just by changing your thinking and your feeling about a subject can absolutely change your genetic code. You are not a product of your genes. You are so much more a product of your thinking, your feeling, your belief, your diet, your stress, and your environment. And these are you to be who you are. So don't believe that you are a product of only your parents and you're a slave to a disease or anything else because it's in your family. You can break that genetic lie, and you can become the product of your own creation. Johnny was a, and let me just tell you some of his personal struggles. I mean, he has had multiple organs removed by doctors. He has struggled for diabetes for years, and he and even being really an expert in food, struggled with his own personal health. And when somebody is in that strong of condition and yet still believe that they're an expert in food, and then to look for elsewhere for help. We had one meeting with Brian where he was sat with Brian and I, and I just had a little heart-to-heart conversation about where he was, and I just enlightened him about a few foods that you can buy at the grocery store that really helped him manage his diabetes. And it was life-changing for him to know about these types of things, because knowing one aspect of knowing a whole nother aspect of food that dramatically had a huge impact in his health is very valuable. So we're just going to share a quick testimonial from Johnny. And if you're living in the South, you've probably eaten at Carino's Italian, one place, pretty popular in the South. If you live up north, maybe not, but it's a pretty famous restaurant chain.
This is Chef Johnny Carino speaking to you from my home here in Atlanta about Chris Vanberg. I just need to tell you, for the last 3-4 years or so, I have struggled with my very own health issues. I am an expert in the restaurant industry. I'm a great chef. When it comes to health, sometimes you need to reach out to other people. That's why I reach out and I trust Chris to help me with my plans on eating, being healthy, and ways to beat my diabetes. Chris is A1 in my book.
Secret number 3. You already heard me talk about this a little bit, but this is actually one of the biggest, just all my coaching and studies and all that, is that it's possible to work right versus hard, and you can totally make it fun and easy. Most people don't understand this. Common statements that create exactly what they say. It's hard work. I'll worry about that tomorrow. I'm so stressed. I have to get this done. I need to. I must. And you may have heard that saying on there, and I'll leave that for you to figure out. But it's basically a bad word. Then it says my life. And here's the important thing to remember is that our words are self-fulfilling prophecies, and there's so much in word choice that goes on that you are probably even unaware of that are sabotaging you consistently from being what you choose and desire in your life. Our old model is only trusting your health to your doctor and not adjusting your lifestyle choices. Taking medications to manage your symptoms, because I'm not sure if you've had this experience. I have many thousands of times about my clients coming to me and then saying, well, my doctor put me on another medication to help with the symptoms that were coming up from the last medication, which created an opportunity for another medication to manage the symptoms of that. And then you have a whole concoction of chemicals going on in your body that there's no research done on, so it's impossible to tell whether you're going to make it, whether you're going to have a heart attack or die of cancer. A lot of times on the actual cancer medication, it will say on the bottom, this may cause cancer. And this is what you're taking it to hopefully kill and kill off so you don't have cancer. So I invite you to consider there are other options. Trying diets, crash dieting, or fasting to lose weight. This is the old way of thinking. Buying expensive supplements and diet way of thinking. Viewing life's obstacles as hard. I invite you to consider that these are all old ways of thinking, and we have some new upgrades available for you. Model. You can take full responsibility right now for your health, well-being, and your future, and we invite you to do so. Each time you walk, see that beautiful young man or woman, or however where you may view yourself, understand you are responsible for your health. You can learn how proteins, carbs, and fat composition. You can learn how the power of grocery store foods will completely reverse and potentially set you free from whatever you may be in bondage from and having to do with expensive supplements. Life is a choice to make it fun and easy, or you can consistently say, my life is difficult, this is hard work. Evidence that supports your opinion. So here is I'm just going to let you listen to it, and we'll talk about it afterwards.
Hi, my name is Violet. I choose to take a few minutes and talk to you about my experience with reaching out to Brian. About 6 months ago, I contacted Brian. I just had some questions about nutrition, different things I could change up just to start feeling better. And we also talked about different medications I was on at the time. He mentioned foods that that specifically could do the same thing as what the medications were doing, except naturally. So long and the other list of things that he said to try, I started doing that. After about a month, I started to wean myself off of one of my medications. And then after I got off that, I started weaning myself off another medication. And after 3 months, I had gotten off of 5 medications. Medications I was on for 30 years, some I was on for 15 years, and some I was on for 10 years. And so these are things that I thought I was going to have to take for the rest of my life. Before that conversation with Brian, I didn't even realize that there was an option. And, it's been 6 months since, I talked to him about these, specific things, and 3 months of being completely off medicine. And I really am so happy and thankful and grateful for Brian and for the work that he does, and just the love that he has for people, and showing them that they have other options, that they can feel good just with the right information. And I just feel really blessed to have that opportunity to talk to him about those things going on in my health and my diet, and that he's so knowledgeable and just really helpful and offers you this opportunity to change your life. And because I look at this more than just I'm off medication. To me, is a miraculous act. To say I'm free from all of this, and it's also such a sense of empowerment too, to know that doctors couldn't do this. Go to the grocery store like this. So it's kind of wild, but definitely grateful for it. Thank you.
Video at all, Brian? I love that video, by the way.
So Yeah, I don't really know if there's anything I could add to that. I mean, every time I watch that video, I just kind of just more humbled by what God has allowed me to share for her to change her life. You know, we've had so many of these happen that it's our duty to share this information with you, to help you and to help whoever may be in the information. So this is really why we do what we do. And here's your invitation to join us.
Yeah, I have just to add to that is like Brian and I, you know, we are so blessed to be shared this information and get to share that with others. I tell you how often I get to meet with my clients, and it's tears of joy, and it's the most beautiful thing to me, and it makes everything I do, every study I make, worth it. And sharing it is such a beautiful thing. So we're excited to join us. What we want to do is we want to share more information with you. We're going to do a new nutrition. We did one back in January. We're going to do a new nutrition program. It's going to have nutrition, mindset, nice videos about symptom reversal foods, the foods that you can buy at the grocery store. Stop wasting money on medications and supplements, all that other stuff. Let's teach you what's in grocery store foods and help you create a diet for your life. It's you know, never have to structure a diet, never have to pay somebody for assistance anymore. You know, there's coaching, there's accountability, but learning what you require from a nutritional standpoint and being healthy for the rest of your life, not only will that help you, but it will exponentially help your whole family. We have some testimonials that are just so amazing where we helped an individual and now their whole family, because they've seen their success, has totally changed their diet and experience freedom from medications. It's just such a beautiful thing to be able to share. So, you know, this package was valued at $700. We'll also give you a healthy digital recipe book, which has got hundreds of recipes Brian and I have worked on and created from and got from other sources that we just, you know, I use those recipes constantly. I know Brian does too. And they're second nature to us. So the total investment for both of those would be $757. And it's a great value at that price, I think, too. But one of the biggest bonuses that I think we have actually created is our Facebook support group. We have a group close to Great Nutrition. It's just a community of people that we work with, and we love them because one, they post videos people we've helped them, and it's all like-minded individuals. You know, building a community. Listen, and maybe you've never been saying before, maybe you have, but you are these friends. And when you're trying to make a change in your life for the positive, you need to surround yourself with people like-minded and after the same goal. You know, you want to make more money, you should hang out with people that are making more money. You want to be healthier, surround yourself with people that are all trying to be healthier. And I tell you, this is one of the most valuable things is a community of like-minded people. I think right now we have about 40, 50 people in there that is just, it's just a beautiful community. We love each and every member. And we also put some exclusive stuff. So, you know, pay attention to the content and videos.
So here's what you get, a little recap. You're going to have 6 live online trainings on Thursday. We typically have them right after this one. We're specifically going to talk about all the nutrition. We're going to talk about mindset. We're going to talk about symptom reversal foods. We're going to talk about specifically helping you set up your own diet program. And when we say diet, that's a way of life. That's just what you're eating on a daily basis. You'll have access to the recordings. If you miss them, you will receive our Healthy Eating Digital Recipe Book. Bonus, you'll also get our 2 months free access to our closed paid membership site where we have all of our exclusive content mingle with each one of the individuals in our group, where we ask questions and just basically a lot of information tossed back and forth and provide a support system for everyone. Your total investment would be $837. We have some more for you. So Think Great Nutrition. This is only for we're going to give you the healing power of smoothie recipes where Chris and I have made our own stuff specifically that we would like to share with you as a bonus offer that we're going to throw in for our invitation for you. Chris.
Yeah, so there you go. You're going to get once again, the whole Mindset series, the package, the recipes, our community group. You're going to get smoothie recipes, but we have one more bonus, which is probably the most valuable bonus, obviously. which is you get to work with Brian and I for a 30-minute consultation. Now, this is something that Brian and I, have very limited time. We both work with a lot of clients. And so once again, this is a value for only the first people that sign up, but you get a 30-minute consultation with us. And we just want to show you the client on the left is a female client of mine. She was thinking about getting ready to have kids, and she wanted to get in the best shape of her life. And so in a matter of just a few months, took her from, some normal shape, and now she's decided to do a fitness show because she's gotten such incredible shape by helping her with her diet. And then Russell is over here on the right. This is one of Brian's clients. Just look at that picture. That is an amazing. And Brian, how old is Russell?
He's real not so fun about sharing that. We'll say
okay.
40.
So he's obviously he's definitely on the half side of his life, and he is obviously, look at him. He's in incredible shape now. From being
something to add to that. It's interesting because I've worked with Russell for a couple of years, and here's the thing. Russell would get from 20% down to 13% and sabotage himself. He'd get back down to 13%, sabotage himself. And that's when we had to dig deep, start creating affirmations, start to go through some of the shame and guilt and things that he was holding on to. And this has happened to me. This is why I've rebounded 2 different times. And so now when I did a lot of consciousness work and clearing out all those cobwebs and giving myself and working through shame and guilt and what I was holding on to, this happens to a lot of people. So when you have the support system and they understand specifically how to work the emotional components and help you to be accountable, and you have a support system with love versus coming down on you and just blah, it's possible to do it. You just get to be consistent with it. So here's what you get. 6 live online trainings. We're going to talk about nutrition specifically, mindset, just like about Russell. We're going to talk about symptom reversal foods and creating a diet for life. You have access to your recordings. You'll receive a healthy eating digital book, which we've already talked about. You also receive 2 months free access to our closed paid membership site where we post all of our exclusive content. You'll receive 2 of our smoothie recipe videos. You'll also receive 1 30-minute consultation with Chris or myself. It's up to you specifically. Your total investment will be $1,537, and we have a special for you. So can you see why $768 would be a great deal if that's what we were offering to you? That alone would take you, if you're having medications or you are depressed or you are stuck in your body, you've been trying to move in about a year, year and a half, 2 years, whatever the case may be. Even if it was $768, imagine if you made those changes, what would that be worth to you? I can tell you this much. I've been all the way from 20 to 23% body fat, 5 or 6% body fat, and if you were to tell me I had to pay $768 to be 6% body fat, I would pay in a heartbeat, even if I had to buy it or borrow it, both. Because your life will be dramatically different with everything as far as how you show up, how you feel in your life, and what you get to do specifically because of the way you feel and the way that you're mentally prepared to take on your life. For the general public, $499, but since you stay till the end, we have a gift for you. Go ahead, Francis.
So today, before 10 o'clock tonight, we're going to offer this package for you for $244. And I believe, and I believe Brian believes the same thing, is really the reason why we can offer such a low price is because one, we desire for you to know this information. And it's not about making necessarily on the product, because we if we were really putting the value of what this would do for your life, it would be in the multi-thousands of dollars in life-changing information. But we desire for us to share it with as many people as possible, which is why we put a low price point on it. So watching this video, you should have an enroll link. You should be able to click and enroll, and I guarantee, and let me just talk about that for a second, I guarantee your results. Please, if any reason you are unsatisfied with the product within the first few weeks, which means you're going to get to watch 2 videos, and if you don't think that information is life-changing and powerful, we promise you we'll give you a full refund on that money because it's worth it. In fact, it's worth way more than what we're charging for it. We love you, and we want to share this information. We're choosing to share this information with you right now. So please go ahead and sign up. We can't wait to welcome you into our community and introduce you to all of our beautiful network of people that love to work with us on a daily basis. and we're so excited to have you. So, in conclusion, from Brian and I, our hearts, we love you lots. We're encouraged for you. We're encouraged that you took the time out of your days. You know, time is one thing that we're all given the same amount of, but you took the time to stay to the end, and you took the time to watch this video. We hope we're encouraged, and we trust that you took something home that was valuable information for you.
Yeah,
Brian?
I have one thing to add. This was a very well-placed piece of information at a very time in my life when I was working with some of my coaches. And I don't know if you know this or not, but Chris and I invest pretty heavily in coaches. Like to the tune of, I have $3,000 a month where I invest for coaches specifically to be able to deliver and do the things that I do. And there's one thing that was brought to my attention. And he goes, Brian, if you focus on the payment, you'll never receive the payoff. And that piece of information has really liberated me from thinking about that present moment, which is the only moment we have, and say, all right, $244 versus what if this information is that valuable in life? Could this help me to solve my sabotage situations so that I can consistently stay in great shape, consistently recognize when I'm off my mark, what to do to get back on track? Could this help me to understand myself available to you and your family? What if it helps you get off of medications like you did Violet, or specifically Johnny Carino? 244, that will change your life if you show up and you commit to you. We're looking forward to seeing you on the other side. And remember, if you don't make time for your wellness, you will make time for your life.